So apparently Donald Trump is making fun of Mike Johnson behind closed doors, and it could not happen to a nicer guy, because anytime Mike Johnson goes out there and tries to go to bat for Donald Trump, he just looks like a nervous, cornered rat. He looks like a kid whose older brother told dad that he was bad that day. And dad's home, and now he's sitting there like, please, dad, don't bring it up. That's how he comes off whenever he's confronted by these questions. And you can hear in his voice, the tone of Mike Johnson's voice tells you everything you need to know, because it is so, well, we're trying to be very transparent with the American people, and we're going to reopen this government just as soon as we can, as soon as the Democrats let us do it. He always seems trapped. He always seems cornered. And behind closed doors, Donald Trump is having a field day at his expense. So we're going to read the story here from the Daily Beast. And I know there's going to be those who say, oh, come on, Brando, that ain't real. That's fake news. He wouldn't ever say something like that about Mike Johnson. Well, we've seen him insult everybody. We've seen him insult people for 10 years. We've seen him do nothing but throw out tweets constantly. He comes up with a nickname for everybody. So if he would mock and ridicule everybody out in the open, do you think behind closed doors he's nicer about it? It's usually behind closed doors is where people's the worst. So, I mean, I absolutely believe this story. Again, there's going to be people who say, oh, it's not true. Well, maybe it's not, but it's definitely believable, and that's why we're going to talk about it. This here's from the Daily Beast. Donald Trump humiliates Mike Johnson behind closed doors. So Donald Trump has been heard privately joking that he believes he can easily manipulate House Speaker Mike Johnson, according to sources quoted by the New York Times. I am the Speaker and the President, the MAGA leader is understood to have said, according to the newspaper. Citing two people with knowledge of his remarks, the Times further notes that Johnson's conduct in office over the past few weeks amid the ongoing shutdown has done little to disabuse Trump of that notion or anyone else. Some people fear that the shutdown may prove to be the longest and most damaging on record. I do believe that it will be. Even before Johnson decided to suspend the Constitution, or the Congress, they have suspended the Constitution too. But even before Johnson decided to suspend Congress indefinitely before October 1st, the Speaker had come under fire from his opponents across the aisle for his perceived, I cannot pronounce that word, to the president, marching in lockstep with Trump's agenda despite calls to use his office as a vanguard against mounting overreach from the executive branch. Johnson was instrumental in rallying Republican officials behind the White House's One Big Beautiful Bill spending proposals earlier this year, along with a host of other legislative initiatives on everything from U.S. energy dominance and border security to abortion rights and education reform, all tightly aligned with the MAGA administration's America First agenda. So since the standoff began earlier this month, the Speaker has only continued along that trajectory, firmly resisting any calls for the House to meet until senior Democrats grant concessions over Republicans' budgetary measures. Johnson's opponents have blasted him for refusing to swear in Adelita Grijalva, a Democratic congresswoman-elect who would otherwise hold a key vote in a pending House petition to force a floor vote on having the Justice Department release its finding in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Johnson, the official responsible for administering Grijalva's oath of office, has bizarrely claimed he has no authority to do so. Though Trump himself has long courted conspiracy theories about the disgraced financer's sex trafficking crimes, the case has become a poisoned chalice for the administration, given renewed scrutiny of his own relationship with the late pedophile. Meanwhile, Johnson has committed much of his time to media appearances, viciously attacking Trump opponents as solely responsible for the shutdown while defending the president's increasingly erratic and controversial conduct in office. Over the past week alone, Johnson has backed Trump's decision to pardon former congressman and convicted conman George Santos because the MAGA administration, which is presently prosecuting at least 3 of the president's long-standing political enemies, believes it is redemption. He also said there's nothing amiss about a sitting president pursuing a $230 million damages from the Justice Department over previous federal investigations into him, and defended Trump's widely decried demolition of the White House East Wing because the ballroom set to replace it is going to be glorious. So I wonder how Mike Johnson feels knowing that behind closed doors he gets laughed at, and he has to know it. I mean, he really has to know deep down that he's being used, and he also has to know deep down that this is all wrong, but he is going to sit there and go to bat and be the one that goes out and gets humiliated on behalf of Donald Trump. The thing about Trump is, folks, I would like to talk to you about Chapter. Medicare is supposed to benefit seniors, but it can be so confusing. And with many agents chasing commissions instead of caring about folks, millions of seniors end up on plans that aren't right for them every year, paying too much or not getting the care that they need. And that's just wrong. Listen, Medicare annual enrollment runs from October 15th through December 7th. Even if you like your current Medicare plan, it's critical to look at 2026 plans or you risk losing coverage you need. That's because plans change every year and some just disappear. That's why I want you to know about Chapter. They're the only advisors that check every plan nationwide to make sure you get one that works best for you. Their help is free and they can review your options in under 20 minutes. If you're on the right plan, they'll tell you. If not, they'll help you switch. By doing this, they've saved people an average of $1,100 a year. So call Chapter today. Get it done fast and rest easy. You can reach them at 314-732-0423. Love him or hate him, Donald Trump has mastered the bait and switch. He's mastered like the Artful Dodger. He really is. He's a guy who is great at dodging questions, shifting blame. He can slip away from the media's punches better than anybody I've ever seen because he just has a way of saying something so over the top that people forgets the question that was posed. Mike Johnson's not that good at it. Neither is J.D. Vance. J.D. comes off pompous and arrogant, and Mike Johnson comes off nervous and cornered. And all I will say is that if Adelita Grijalva was a Republican and they were needing a vote to expose Joe Biden or Hunter Biden, if they were needing that, do you honestly think that Mike Johnson will be sitting back saying, no, we can't swear that person in? No, he would absolutely break his neck to swear that person in. So what we're seeing here is Mike Johnson go out there and be Donald Trump's little bitch, only to then be laughed at and humiliated behind closed doors. Now, there will be people that will say, Brando, Trump wouldn't say that about Mike Johnson. He would never say something like that about Mike Johnson. And we could sit here and go down the line, and it would take us the rest of the day and into next week to bring up every insult that Donald Trump, you wouldn't have time in the year to bring out every insult that Donald Trump has threw at people. He had no problem mocking prisoners of war. And then people was acted like they were surprised when they heard that he had called them suckers and losers. Why would you be shocked? Why would that be so hard to believe? You know, if I was to miss a WWE house show back in the day, let's say I missed it, I didn't go, and somebody told me they went, and they saw Ravishing Rick Rude cheat to win. Yeah, that's absolutely believable. It's Ravishing Rick Rude. Of course he cheated to win. Why would I be shocked by that? Why would I sit there and go, I have to see that to believe it? I can't believe he done that now. Come on. He wouldn't never put his foot on the ropes for an advantage. He wouldn't never use brass knucks. That wouldn't happen. That's how ridiculous you sound when you go to bat and say, oh, he wouldn't say that about Mike Johnson. And trust me, Mike Johnson knows deep down that Donald Trump would have so much more to say about him if he ever really stepped out of line with Donald Trump. Imagine if Mike Johnson just went, screw it, we're going to swear this lady in anyway. Imagine if he ever went against them. You already see Marjorie Taylor Greene blaming him. You already see her going after him. But imagine how hard Donald Trump would come down on him if he stepped out of line. And deep down he knows it. That's why he sits there cornered. That's why he sits there with that look on his face that's just so kid caught with his hand in the candy jar kind of look. That's just what he has. He's one of the most weaselly, spineless politicians that I've ever seen. And he's not even strong about it. That's what's so bad about Mike Johnson. It's like, you know, Mitch McConnell, for example, was always a snake in the grass. Mitch McConnell, he's always been a snake in the grass. He's always been one of my least favorite politicians in American history. But Mitch McConnell knows how to speak in a way where he still sounds confident and strong, even though you know he's lying to you and you know he's only putting himself ahead of everybody else. Mitch McConnell is one of the most cagey politicians that ever lived. Mike Johnson is just such a wimp, and he does not put forth that strength that a McConnell puts forward. Instead, he just comes off like he's trying so hard to get out of answering the questions. And he also comes off like, please don't ask me that. It always looks like, please don't ask me that. And, you know, the thing about it is you can say what you want to say about the Democratic Party. You can have your opinions on different Democratic politicians all day long. You're welcome to think whatever you want to about them. And I'm not even going to say you're wrong for disliking them or not wanting to vote for them. You're free to do what you want to do. But I know that if I was to criticize a Gavin Newsom, for example, he's not going to have a Twitter war with me. You know what I mean? He's not going to take time out of his day to have a Twitter war with me. And other people aren't going to call for my head if I say I don't like Gavin Newsom. But in MAGA's world, if you say one word against Donald Trump, you're out. And he can mock and make fun of you all day long, and there ain't really much you can do about it other than sit back and take it. So I don't feel bad for Mike Johnson. I don't feel bad for him at all. Donald Trump one time said that 100 years from now, no one's going to remember the Speaker of the House. I disagree with that. I think people will remember Mike Johnson just for the little puppet that he was sitting on Donald Trump's lap. And I wonder how it felt knowing he mocks me behind closed doors. The next time you see him out there, you know he's heard about this article. You know he's seen it. Maybe somebody told him, don't worry, Mike. That's a lie. He didn't say nothing bad about you, Mike. Don't worry about it. What I'd like to ask Mike Johnson is, do you really believe that? Do you honestly believe he wouldn't say something about you behind closed doors? Do you honestly think he talks nice about you when you're away? That's what I would love to ask Mike Johnson. If I could interview Mike Johnson, that's what I would ask him. Buddy, do you honestly think he's never said anything bad about you? And take all the time you need with that answer.